This is Elm Bonsai and you are watching first Q&A. From the start of my channel, episode by episode, I received a couple of questions. I tried to respond to every single question in the comment section. Some of those questions, in my opinion, required more effort to explain some more complex topics. So I decided that I will try new concept and I will answer some of your questions with showing the trees and pointing to things you were asking. In case you have question regarding whatever topic I was covering in any of my episodes, just ask me in the comment section under this video or write me an email. You see my email address right now on your screen or in description down below. In case you have some pictures or short video of your tree or topic you would like to discuss, just write me. Maybe if it will be interesting stuff, we can cover it in future episode of Q&A. We start with this elm bonsai. Ian and some other guys since beginning asked me about this elm, which was starring in my very first episode. You can find it here. What we can tell about trees like this, about tree like this, how to develop tree like this. Brief history, you will see few pictures of this tree from 2015 onwards. On those pictures you will see the development of the tree. So the tree itself was collected in 2013. I don't have pictures from 2014 because very first year you have nothing to do. What kind of pictures you will take of a tree in early stage of development? So it didn't make sense. And the first pictures are from 2015. You can see how I wired the initial branches which grow on a tree. So originally, why I collected this tree? I was covering it in previous episodes, but let me repeat it. Yeah? The most important part on a tree, if you're collecting it, is nebari, bark, some initial movement of the tree, and most important parts are the initial 30, 20, depend on height, centimeters of the trunk. Everything else will be grown. So as you can see on the pictures from 2015, there was nothing, just main trunk and this sub-trunk. My friends who were with me when we were collecting this tree, they were scratching their heads and they were asking, why you are collecting such a tree? What's the purpose? And I remember, I don't have pictures from collection, but I remember that I saw the nebari and I saw how the tree is wide at the base. I saw how it splits into these two trunks, and I saw this little movement. It's hardly visible, but the tree is bending that way at this height. So I was thinking maybe it will be interesting for really large tree, and it is large tree. As you can see, it's 1 meter 20 centimeters. So it's really large. It's not that heavy because the substrate is pumice and terramol, which is very light substrate, which I use for really large trees. It makes them more transportable. Initially, I start to grow the branches. Yeah? According to my expectation, I wanted the tree to look like natural tree in the wild. So all my branches, as you can see them, are growing up and away from the center of the tree. Let's say, for example, this branch. You can see it's going up and away from the central point of the trunk. All these branches are grown in this way. So these are sub-trunks which are creating the character of the tree. So the tree in the nature is growing up and away in search for the light. Of course, there are some negative spaces which are created naturally because you are not able to fill them with branches in so short time span. So take into consideration that it's still only 11 years since the tree was developed. Maybe it could have been developed faster, but take into consideration also that when I was starting with this tree, I was beginner. I really didn't know what I'm doing. In any case, the development of a decent deciduous tree should normally take decades. There are no shortcuts. You cannot buy your time with this. The tree grew from seed, and with collecting the tree like this, you bought the time. Because if you decided that you will plant the seed or seedling or cutting in your garden and you will wait until you reach this kind of maturity of the trunk and of the bark, it will take you 20 to 30 years. So with collecting the base of the tree like this, you are buying 20 or 30 years of your time. So sometimes when you are thinking if it's worth to buy some kind of collected material or not, and if you are looking at sky-high prices of some of the trees, think about two things. One thing is how much time you are saving with buying trunk like this. And the second thing, if you watched my previous video, you have link here, you see how much effort the collector had to put into collecting this size of a tree. So it's tremendous. So back to the design. If you are collecting the tree like this, you have few design challenges. Most of those challenges are linked to the places where you interrupted the tree and you take it from the environment. So of course we have the major chop here. You see it now on the detail. The second chop on a trunk here. And also all the roots need to be shortened, the major big roots. You can see now that they are already healed. So where they were shortened, the roots healed completely in 11 years. So this, for now, this is sorted out. The big chops on a trunk are not healed, and most probably the big chop here will never heal. Maybe in my lifetime, I don't know. I will try to work, of course, on these cut areas, and you can try to speed up the healing process. Naturally, it's elm. It's possible to speed it up, and it's healing quite well. I had a big scar here. I will show you also you can see it on a detail now, close up. So it's completely healed. So in case you are lucky and you have a lot of energy flowing around your wound on the tree, it will heal completely on the elm, on a species like this. So the question is, maybe in 10 years time, both those cut areas will be healed or not. In case it will happen, then it's good for me. In case it will not happen, you need to incorporate the scar into design. I saw the discussions regarding this kind of large wounds on collected trees, and I understand that there are people who doesn't like this kind of scars on a tree, and they are despising it. In my opinion, it's legitimate to don't like this kind of scars, but then you have to understand that maybe this sport of collected trees is not for you. Of course, there are trees which are grown from seeds or from cuttings in the ground, very carefully developed, very nice tapered trunks. Okay, but then you cannot work with collected deciduous yamadori trees, because in this sport you are most probably never find the trees where you will be not facing the dilemma of big scars. So these are the main challenges. Subtrunks were grown in up and away from the center, as I said. One instance where I thought the tree is missing something was that this branch was too high, in my opinion, and at this part the negative space was too big, so I decided to grow this branch from zero. You can see it on the pictures now. What I did is that there was a very small branchlet. I let it grow out most probably to somewhere here, and from this space I bend it upwards and I let the leader grow in to maybe 2 meters high. You can see it on the pictures. I leave the sacrifice branch to grow for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. I will check on the pictures. So it was grown for several years, and after that it was removed here. The scar didn't heal so far, but most probably eventually it will heal one day. So now this was grown in 5 years time. It's 3.5 centimeters. So of course at the bottom you want to have the thickest branches. The same could have been done to other parts of a trunk as well. So in case I would like to continue in changing the diameters of some parts of the trunk, I would let any of these branchlets to grow away from the trunk, bend it 90 degrees up, and let the leader grow for 1 or 2 years, and everything what is connected to this sacrifice branch will thicken. So this way you can change the thickness of the branches and you can play with that. So it's basic technique. You need to learn how to do that. It's nothing complicated, you are just playing with energy. I was also covering this topic in previous videos. If you have questions about this, just ask me in the comment section. The tree originally on previous pictures you can see it was higher, maybe 10-15 centimeters. And the last year I had a visitor here, my friend, my bonsai friend, and he was looking at the tree and he told me, don't you think that the tree should be lower? And usually I'm not listening to advice like this, but it stuck with me, and since that day I was looking at this tree and I was thinking about the height of the tree, how he said it, and I thought, yeah, he's maybe right. So I removed a couple of centimeters from apex of a tree, and now tree looks even better. Tomorrow it's going to national exhibition, so we will see how it will look like there in the company of the best trees from Slovakia. So this is for answer to Jan's question. So we are moving to another tree. Second question in today's Q&A. Maria from Slovakia, zdravím domov na Slovensko, was asking me in my spruce video, where I was styling the spruce. You can see the link here. She was asking that after the styling, her spruce is not back budding. What to do and how to deal with that, and why the spruce is doing things like that. What I can say about the spruces is that spruces don't like to be styled. That is my feeling. I'm not really big spruce expert. I have only couple of spruces. I can tell you that you need a lot of patience to work with spruce, because when you style the tree and you reduce the foliage and you wire it, usually the tree is in too much stress, don't like to be wired, and the first season after it was wired, it's not producing a lot of new foliage and a lot of new growth, and it needs to adapt to the situation that the branches were manipulated, that a lot of foliage was removed. So you need to be really patient, and you cannot work with the spruce like with many other trees that you are continually abusing the tree season by season. So you have to be careful, and you need to pace accordingly with the spruces. Wire it, leave it with wire. It easily could take 1 year and there is not much back budding, not much new growth. On the second year, the wire still could stay there. It's not biting in because the growth of a spruce is not so fast. So on the second year, there is some growth, like you can see on this spruce, which was wired 2 years ago. So this is completely new growth. Then, of course, you need to remove the wire on this spruce. At the apex, I was removing wire after most probably 1.5 years or something like this, because it was already the biting in the strong areas. The bottom areas are still okay, but there will come the time in few months time, maybe end of the year, when I will need to remove the wire. What I do then is that I leave the tree without wire for 1 season, give it the time to rest, give it the time to gain strength, and of course then it will back bud, it will create buds somewhere at the inner part of the branches, but it will take time. There is no shortcut with the spruce either. You need to be really patient. As you can see on this tree, you can easily have some back budding, but it's not ideal. In ideal world, I would like to get some back budding here, but there are no buds. Of course, I wasn't cutting back the spruce, so I will cut back the growth, and in the second half of this year, the buds will start to develop in the inner part of the tree. So that's the Maria's question. I hope I cover it. In case you have any further questions, write me down below. Another question from Anna was regarding the Fraxinus, and when I was doing my repotting of Fraxinus ornus, and the question was if also the Fraxinus Excelsior is good species for bonsai, and how to approach it. The question was if I have Excelsior and how I deal with that. I don't have some really big specimen from Excelsior. I have this tree. This is, unusual tree in my collection because it was growing as from seed under my benches on my former place where I was living. And one day I just took it out and put it into the plastic container. It was growing there for several seasons, and then I had this beautiful ceramic pot from Czech potter, I don't know the name. So I planted the tree into this pot, and it's there for many years. As you can see, it's not really large tree, it's really like 40 centimeters maximum. And it was wired several times to put some initial movement into the trunk. Also, there were several sacrifice branches which were growing really long, and they were removed. So the scars are not healed yet. The branches are still quite flexible. You can easily work with that. You can see the tree was cut back drastically about 3 weeks ago, and almost no original leaves and original growth was left on the tree. This is original size of leaf, one I left for comparison. So the question is if you can generate smaller leaves also on Excelsior, and how to deal with that, and if it's suitable for bonsai. In my opinion, this is suitable for bonsai. It's good species because it's really putting a lot of growth. It's growing really nicely. It's susceptible to some aphids and some other insects, so you have to be careful because they have most probably sweet sap, which some types of aphids really like. What you need to do with a tree like this, you cannot really let it grow too much, and in case you want to achieve good and delicate structure of the branches, you need to cut back hard a lot every season several times. For example, you can see the growth here. It's a new shoot which is only 1 week old. You already see 1, 2, 3 internodes. What I will do in maybe 1-2 weeks time, I will cut it here, and I will remove completely all the leaves and all the tip, and I will leave only these 2 buds. So what I do, I constantly cut to first pair of buds. First pair of buds everywhere, with very few exemptions. Also, defoliation is almost a must on a tree like this. My personal opinion is that it's so strong species that in case your timing is right, maybe you can apply complete defoliation at least once a year, and partial defoliation maybe another 1 or 2 instances. And this way you create denser branch structure, and with denser branch structure you will be able to achieve much smaller leaves also on Fraxinus Excelsior. So this is third question. Today, question number 4. When I published the video on my new project with the maple forest from seedlings, one of the commenters, the green man, wrote me that I should put the trees into the ground and grow them in the ground for 5 to 10 years to gain the thick trunk. In his comment he wrote me that I would never achieve the thickness of a trees with this kind of method. And he was partially right and partially wrong. So what we can say about different growing methods of of bonsai material, we have to understand that there are more than one way to skin the cat. Of course, the tree which is growing in the ground is the fastest way how to generate thick trunk. No doubt about it. The question is, how many of us, the bonsai enthusiasts, are able to grow the trees in the ground? I did a little poll on my YouTube on community page, and I asked you what is the size of your garden. If you have the balcony or terrace, the backyard or garden. And the result is that 75% of people doesn't have too much opportunity to really ground grow your material. I have decent sized garden, but in case I will go around my garden and plant the trees into the ground everywhere, my wife will divorce me. So I have to be really careful with what kind of stuff I'm putting into the ground temporarily. So the question is, if the growing in the ground is only method which is generating the thickness of the tree, you have to understand that it's not. Also, any kind of growing in the boxes or in the different methods where you let the tree generate enough foliage, where the sugar which is created, it's stored into the branches and then transferred to the trunk and then to the roots, will generate the result. Maybe the results are not that fast as with the ground growing, but it has different advantages. You have to take into the consideration that when you have tree in the box, you have more control about watering the tree, about humidity of the substrate. You can rotate the tree on the shelf, and different part of the crown can receive same amount of sunlight, so you can play with that. Also, you achieve in growing in box or directly in the pot, you achieve gentle moves, and you have the development of the trunk movement and branch movement, you have more under control. Why? Because in case you put the tree into the ground, you know that there is a rain which will water the tree, there is some sun which is shining on the tree, there you put some slow release fertilizer around the tree and it will grow. So you don't need to care too much about that tree. And sometimes it's good in case the life is complicated, but sometimes if you let the tree in the ground to grow unrestricted for a prolonged period of time, you get really coarse growth. And it's not so gentle, it's not so delicate, and you don't have it so much under the control, because you know the environment is there to support the tree and it will be not killed. Contrary to this, if you put the tree into the box, you have to water it every day. We are reaching already 30 degrees today, maybe tomorrow it will be 29, 30 degrees Celsius. So in that case, you need to water tree like this twice a day. You need to check it. You need to take care the foliage is not burned and everything. So you need to pay really close attention. This is one thing. The second thing is, big advantage of ground growing is usually you achieve really thick roots, and usually they are not so delicate, and they are many times they are ugly. You need to solve the situation later with air layering or ground layering and creating new roots. So for example, This tree never been in the ground. It's growing from the cutting or air layer, and you can see the roots. The roots are very even. They are going in each direction. I will take a second camera so you can see the detail. They are going in every direction. There is a big cut which is healing, but it will heal this year. So the base is already very wide. So let's measure it. It's easily 7-8 centimeters at the base. The trunk is already 3.5-4 centimeters. So of course it's not sumo trunk, it's nothing spectacular, but take into the consideration that this kind of tree was grown for, it's my material, I grow it myself. It's grown only in the bonsai pot. It's first year in this box. It will grow much faster now. So the nebari will be improved. The thickness of a trunk will improve. So you have everything under control in the control condition. Definitely more under control that in case you would grow the trunk in the ground. Another thing you have to take into the consideration are, let's say, personal aspects. There are countries in which the people are moving, changing the houses, and of course there are different family situations. You divorce or something, and imagine you have 50 trees or 100 trees somewhere in the garden, and unfortunately you have to change the home. You have to move from one place to another, from one state to another. In United States it's quite common. People are moving from one state to another, from one zone to another. In many cases it doesn't make sense to grow in the ground. To be clear, I'm not against the ground growing of your material. It's really good way of doing it. I don't have a lot of experience with this myself because I didn't have conditions to do that. In case I have empty field where I can plant 100 spruces, 200 maples and 200 elms, I will do it tomorrow. But I don't have this opportunity. And for all other people with balconies, with terraces, with the small backyards in center of the cities or in the suburban areas where you don't have large parts of the garden which you can dedicate to ground growing, the growing in some kind of boxes or big pots is still really good method. And in case you know what you are doing with proper feeding, with proper exposure to light, you can achieve good results. Of course, it's marathon, it's not sprint. So the gain material like this will take you 5 to 10 years, but this is bonsai. Everything in bonsai takes 5, 10, 15 years. So you need to adapt to it. And of course, for everybody else who is in the countryside, in village and has big field or big part of garden which could be dedicated to ground growing, go for it. But also take care about the roots. Be careful with introduction of initial movement into the trunk, because the tree in the ground will grow very fast, much faster. Everything will be thicker. All branches which are on the tree thicken very fast. So most probably you will have to remove a lot of them. So creating the structure, creating the taper in the trunk and in the branches, in the sub-trunks is very challenging task, in my opinion, if the tree is grown in the ground. But everything is possible. It's a good way to do that, but you have to understand that it's more way to do developing of starter materials that only ground growing. This is my opinion, and this is everything from first Q&A. If you have any questions regarding your material or my trees you already saw in the videos, write me down in the comment section below this video or any previous video. In case you would like to send me few pictures or video of your tree and you would like to discuss it in next Q&A, feel free to email me to my email address. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.